Welcome to the complete and full tutorial on how to make a Soot Sprite in Blender. This is from Spirited Away, one of my favorite Studio Ghibli movies. And you can see this is going to be the final character. We're going to go step by step. And we're even going to do the lighting and the rendering. As you can see here, we're going to add these nice hairs. And there's also going to be a simple little rig that allows you to move this guy around. Now, believe it or not, I have uploaded this tutorial to my channel a few months ago in a free part tutorial series, but this is just a compilation of those free, since some people prefer to have that all in one video instead of split into separate videos. So this is what that is. So if I say this is part 2, this is part 3 in the video, just ignore that. It's just a compilation of these free videos. So let's jump in and make this guy in Blender. We have a new scene open up in Blender. Go ahead and select all of the default objects and press delete. We're then going to go Shift A. We're going to go to our mesh options and add in a UV sphere. And then we're going to go to our front orthographic view. Now with the sphere active, we're going to go over into our edit mode. And let's go enable proportional editing. We're just going to select some of these bottom verts, like so. And then just go G and Z and move it up a little bit. And you can roll your middle mouse button to control the fall off. Now we just want to make this so it's not quite 100% spherical. We just want it of a little bit of a flatness at the bottom, like this. Not too much. We're going to tab back out. Then we're going to go to our modifiers, click on Add Modifier, and then in the search bar, type in Sub, and give this a subdivision surface, and then right click and go Shade Smooth. Okay. Now, so the hairs don't get messed up later, we're going to make it both 2 in the viewport and in the render. Okay, that'll make sense later. Well, for now, let's go Shift A. Let's go to our mesh options, add in another UV sphere. We're going to go G and move this one over. And let's, once again, under our modifiers, go Add, Search. And this time we're going to type in Mirror. Click on Mirror. And inside Mirrors where we want, we're going to click on the eyedropper and then select the first sphere we added in as a reference. And then with this selected, we're going to go R, X, 90 and hit Enter. Then go S to scale it down about this much, and then go G to move it in. Now I'm looking at some references over to the side. Let's say the eyes are about this big compared to the body, but we're also in the right orthographic view. We're also going to go G, Y, and move them forward. Okay, so in the right orthographic view, we see it like this, and in the front orthographic view, we see something like this. Now the eyes, what we can do to make them sit properly is we're going to select the body, and we can simply go into edit mode of the body, and up here enable X symmetry. We still have proportional editing enabled, so we're just going to select the middle vertex between the eyes. And then in our top orthographic view, we're just going to go G and move it back a little bit just to flatten it. And let's grab a vertex over on this side and move it out. Now this will work because we have X mirror enabled. We're going to go ahead and turn it off. Tab back out, and now we see it sits a little bit better. But what I'm going to do as well, I'm just going to move these eyes back a little bit. I'm going to go S, Y, and flatten them slightly. And I'm going to go R just to rotate slightly, and G to move them in. It can be a little bit finicky. Might scale just a bit, but you'll get it eventually. So something like that. Let's right click and go Shade Smooth. And now we're just going to add some placeholder materials to the eyes. So we're going to go to our Materials tab. We're going to go New. Let's just call this eye and just leave it at that, just eye. And we'll leave the viewport display color as white. But what we're going to do, we're going to go plus and go new, and let's just call this material pupil. And under the viewport display, let's just make it black so we can see it. And then we're going to tab into edit mode and just select the vertex in the middle and go Control plus to go to selection. And then let's go ahead and assign that pupil material. I'm going to turn off proportional editing, and with this still active, I'm just going to go I just to inset it slightly. And I might just select these faces here and just assign the eye. We want the pupil here to look quite small. Awesome. And in this case, I might just go to my top view, rotate the eye just a little bit more, move it in, just to kind of have that pupil kind of more matching the reference. If you have to, grab the body as well. And with X mirror enabled, you can just come in here and just kind of move some of these verts a little bit, just to kind of get the spacing around the eyes. Okay, but something like that is looking really, really cute. I'm really happy with that. We're also going to select the body, and we're going to go to Materials tab and go New. Let's just call this Soot Body. And we're going to come to the viewport display and make it darker, like this. Awesome. Let's also go to our render engine for now and just change it to cycles while we're at it. I always recommend you work with a GPU if you have one. And also under the max render samples, we're just going to make that 45 under here in the render. I know it's a little bit early to get into the render settings, but it's just because we're not far away from working with our hair, so we're just doing that at the moment. Okay, so I'm going to press A to select everything. I'm going to go G and Z and move it up. And we're also going to add the little arms and legs here, and they're very simple. So we're going to go Shift A, we're going to go to Mesh Options and add in a cylinder. We're going to go to the Add Cylinder option here, and let's just change this to 12 vertices. And let's just also come here to the radius and just drag that value way down until we kind of get like a skinny tube. Something like this. And then let's also tab into edit mode. And at this point, we're just going to hover over the middle and go Control R. And you should see the yellow line here for the loop tool. And then if you roll your middle mouse button, you're going to see you can add in all these segments. Let's add in quite a few. So about this many. Okay. Awesome. Now in our front orthographic view, let's tab back out. Let's give this a, we'll go to add modifier, search and just type in mirror. Give it a mirror. And because its origin point is in the center, we could actually tab into edit mode. Press A to select everything, go G and move it over. And I'm gonna go ahead G and Z and just move it up. And I might have to tab out and just select the body and the eyes. And just go G and Z and move them up a little bit, just to kind of match the reference I'm looking at. So something like this. I'm going to select the legs, I'm going to tab back into edit mode, and I might just select some of the top verts as they're not necessary. So something like that, looking really cool. Now these little guys, they also have some little toes that are barely visible, but I guess to be accurate, you will add them in. So we'll go Shift A and just click and select these bottom loop verts, and then go to your right orthographic view, like so. And then go Shift D to duplicate and move it over, R to rotate, and then S to scale it way down. Bring it in, and then just go E to extrude. Move it over here, and then S to scale slightly, and then E to extrude again. And then roll in some loops by going Control R, something like that. And you can give this as much of an organic shape as you want. I'm gonna go something like that. And then I'll select a vertex on it and go Control L to select it all. And in the bottom orthographic view, I'm just going to go Shift D to duplicate, move one over, I'll rotate it slightly, move it in, Shift D to duplicate, and I'll have another one, rotate it slightly. And here with proportional editing, you could, if you wanted to, just come in here and maybe make it connected only. And just kind of slightly adjust some of these just to give them a little bit more organic kind of a feel. Very simple. We're going to tab back out. We're going to right click and go shade smooth. And that's pretty straightforward. I can't really see any hands in the reference images, just the arms. But what I am going to do is I'll actually, just to save time, I'm going to select these, tab back in and just select any mesh on the leg and go Control L. Shift D to duplicate and move it over. And I'm just going to go R and roughly rotate it 90 degrees and just go G and move it and bring it in like so. And looking at the references, the arms sit a little bit higher than you might think. But I'm also going to just select this end face and I'm just going to go E to extrude out. Control R, just roll in some more loops like that just to make it a little bit longer. And that's it, okay? You don't have to do this 100%, but just roughly something like this. Now I'm going to right click, make sure to go shade smooth. I'm also going to go materials. I'm going to go new, and I'm just going to call this legs and arms. And under the viewport display, I'll make that a darker kind of color. There we go. Okay, so now what we're going to do in the next part is we'll actually start adding our hair particles to the body and making that look really cool. And then the final and third part will be where we actually rig this guy up and make him animatable, which will be really fun. So now that we're in part 2, we're going to work on the hairs. So we're going to select the body. And I think what we'll actually end up doing is just going over to a modifier and just with a subdiv level of 1, we're going to go ahead and apply this. Okay, I think that should be more than enough for what we're trying to do. Okay, so we're also going to go over to our particle settings. We're going to go plus to create a new system. And we're going to make it hair. And then you're going to come here to the hair length. And this one we're going to drag down. We want kind of shorter hair. And then just come down to your viewport display. Make the strand steps free. Under the render, come down and enable B-spline. And then scroll down to the children and then make it interpolated. Okay, pretty cool. This might be a bit of overkill. We could come to the top emission number and let's just make that 700 instead. Should be fine. And at the moment the hairs are everywhere, including where the eyes are. So let's fix that by simply going over to our object data properties. I'm going to go ahead and create a new vertex group. And you can do this one of two ways. You can tab into edit mode and then select and assign mesh groups. Or you can come over here and you can just go and do the weight painting this way. Okay. In fact, maybe an easier way to do is both. So we'll tab into edit mode quickly. Press A to select everything. And with that vertex group selected, we're going to go ahead and assign it. So now if we go into weight paint mode, it should all be red, which means it's active. So let's go over here and change this to subtract. Let's press F to grow the brush and then just paint where the eyes are. Okay, I know you can't see it right now. We're kind of just painting away here like that. Awesome. So if we actually came up here and we hid the eyes, you would actually see this, which is kind of creepy, but you know, you get the idea. We just want to kind of paint around like so, just so those hairs aren't sticking through the eyeball. Okay, cool. So now let's go over into our object mode. We kind of now have a sort of heat map. And we can go over to our particles, scroll down to our, I think our field weight or vertex groups actually. Yeah, go to vertex groups and then under density, click on here and just select that group. And now the hairs are only over here, which is pretty cool. But I'm going to bring the eyes back. So now let's go over here back to our hair. And we're going to focus here on the children. We're going to come down to the roughness and we're going to start by making it slightly, giving it a bit of value in the endpoint. We're also going to go to uniform a little bit and then random. Okay, so now the hairs have a little bit of twirl to them. We're also going to come here to the clumping and just slightly clump these together a little bit like that. Okay, so now we have the first part of this kind of done. So what's happening here as well, I'll quickly explain. If we go to our viewport display or actually our children, our children, the display amount here is what we see in the viewport. So if I make this 100, you can actually see this is what we're going to see in our render. Okay. But for now, I'll just make the viewport something like 10 and the render amount we'll leave at 100. But looking at the reference images of the sprites, and I do have one here to the side, I recommend you go look the little soot balls up yourself because I don't want to actually put the images on here and get copy strike. But what we'll do is we'll add some longer hairs as well because I think in the reference images you can see a combination of both short hairs and long hairs. So let's come over here, go plus, create another hair group, and let's this time make it 120 particles. Let's bring the hair length down, but not as short as before. Maybe something like this. And then scroll down to children, make it interpolated, and then go down to our clumping, and let's go and give it a little bit of clump, quite a bit actually. And at the moment, this is looking a little bit too clean, so we're going to enable clump noise as well. And now it's got a little bit more noise to it. I'm going to come to the drop down and just maybe bring that amount, mess around with it, just bringing it down so it's not as intense. There we go. And we also want to come here and get the use clamp curve, just to give us a bit more control. And let's just actually drag this value down here and the top one down like so. There we go. So we maybe want to just a little bit more at the base and a little bit less over here. And then we can click and just add one kind of middle curve. And now we have a little bit of shape on that, which looks really cool. Now we also don't want this sticking through the eye, so we're going to scroll down to our vertex group and also use that same density group there. Okay, that's looking really, really cool. So now let's go Shift A. Let's go to our light options, add an area light. Let's go G, Z and move it up. And let's go to our light properties, give it a strength of 300. Let's give it a size of 2 meters and let's go Z and then go rendered. And in our front view, what we'll do is we'll go Shift D to duplicate that light, move it over. R to rotate it, coming in from the side. Shift D to duplicate. Let's have another one coming from the side. And then in our top view, let's go Shift D, duplicate this one, kind of have it coming from the front. So just something simple like this. And I'm also going to go into the front view and just go Shift A. I'll add in a camera, and maybe just in the side view, I'll move it forward. Then press 0 to go into camera view, and you can position your camera however you want. But I'm just going to go something like this for now. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to select the little soot guy here. I'm going to go over to my materials. And with the soot body, I'll come here to the base color and just make it dark under the surface, but not black, maybe kind of like a gray. Okay. And then I'm going to go plus, I'm going to go create a new material, and let's just call this Soot 2. I'm going to come here to the base color and make that one even darker. And what we're going to do, we're going to go to our particles, and with the second particle group, the longer hairs here. In fact, let's just double click on it and call it long. And then click on the first one and call it short. So let's click on the long one, and let's just come down to the render, and under the material here, we want to make that Soot 2. Okay, so it's using that material. So if we go back to our materials here, with the Soot 2, we can kind of, we can change it, even give it different colors. But obviously we want to kind of stick closer to what is accurate. So something like this. And so the body is just a little bit more gray, and the outer hair is a little bit more black. Pretty cool. Okay, let's select the eye. Let's go to our materials, and with the eye material that we added in the first part, I'm going to come here and drag the roughness all the way down to 0 here. I'm going to click on the pupil, which you've already added, and let's just make this base color black, and also bring down that roughness. Now with the eye here, looking at the reference, it's not pure white, it's a little bit off-white, so let's just make this kind of more like a creamy kind of color. Something like that, and I think that looks much better. Selecting the arms and legs, we added a material in the first part, so let's just come here to the surface and make that black as well, and let's bring down the roughness. Actually, we might actually bring the roughness up on that one a little bit, to about 0.6. Okay, so here we have it. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go Shift A, I'm just going to add in a plane. I'm going to go RX90, hitting enter, and I'll move this plane up. And this plane is just going to go in the background like so, and I'll just scale that up and out like so. And I'll grab that plane and go give it a material and call it BG for background. And under the base color, I'll make that one darker. And to make the soot monster stand out, what we'll do is we'll select some of these lights. And in our top view, we're going to go Shift D to duplicate and kind of just have them coming right from behind the character here. Kind of creating some nice rim lighting. I'm going to go Shift D to duplicate, have another one kind of coming from here. And that kind of just helps it stand out from the background. Okay, so one more thing we're going to do is just select the soot monster here. Let's go to our particles, and let's just go to the short hair. Scroll down to the hair shape. Make it 0.4 on the root diameter. Go up and let's select the long hair. And let's just go all the way down to the hair shape and make this 0.4 as well on the root diameter. Make sure to save. And now we're just going to go render, and we're going to do a test render by clicking here on render image. And there we go. Our little soot monster is looking absolutely adorable. I just love the way this is coming out. It's probably my favorite character tutorial I've ever done on the channel. I really love this one. So this has been part 2, which is so far really successful. I'll see you guys in part 3, which is going to be the next and final part, where we're going to rig this little guy up so you can animate him if you wanted to. Okay, so that's going to be part 3, but this is going to be the part where we create this adorable little rig for our character, so we can actually go ahead and pose his little limbs, move him around. Very kind of cute sort of setup here that you can try out yourself. So let's jump in, and as always, this blend file will be available on my Patreon as well. In part 2, we added these lights and a background and all that. So let's just take the camera and holding in shift, let's just select all of these lights and the background. Let's just press M and then click new collection. Let's just call this stage and go create. And over here, we can come to the stage collection and just turn it off in the viewport. So it's still renderable, but we just don't see it in the viewport. And that just cleans things up a bit for us. We're then also going to click on our main collection because that's where we want to add our armature. And we're going to go Shift A, we're going to go to our armature options and add in a single bone. And we're going to come over here to our object data properties for the bone. So just a little green dude over here. And you're going to come over here to viewport display and change the display as to B bone. Okay, cool. So now let's go into edit mode. And while we're here as well, let's just also come to the viewport display here. Just make it in front. So if we do move the bones, we can kind of see it through the character like an X-ray. Okay, we're just going to make it handy. And what we're going to do, we're just going to go G, Z, and move up a single bone. This is going to be a really, really simple rig. So this bone here is the bone in the middle. Actually, I'm just thinking here, maybe we want actually a root bone first. So what we'll do, we'll leave this bone down here. And that's simply just a bone where everything's parented to. And with this bone selected, we're going to go Shift D to duplicate and Z and move it up. Place it in the middle here and then go S, Z and just scale it up into Z a bit like this. And that's going to just be what allows us to move the body. With this bone selected, we're going to go Shift D to duplicate, move it over. And then we're going to go R and we're going to rotate it the other way around like so. And click and then go S to scale it down. And we're going to go G and move it here to where the leg is. Now you can see this bone is quite thick, and even if we scale it, it only scales lengthwise. So what we're going to do, with it selected, we're going to go to armature, transform, and we're going to go over to scale B bone. And now if you move your mouse cursor, you can see we can make this way skinnier. So let's go something like that. Okay, let's move this nub down, and let's click on this bone, and let's go over to our bone properties. It's a little bone down here. And over here you see it's got a name. Let's just name this to upper leg and then dot capital L. So upper leg dot capital L. Now the dot capital L is super important. That's going to allow us to mirror it all over. And then let's grab this nub here. It should roughly be in the middle of the leg. We're going to go E to extrude and Z and extrude it down to where the feet are, like so. And then we're going to go into our right orthographic view. And with this bottom nub here selected at the bottom there, right? In our right orthographic view, we're going to go E to extrude and extrude it forward like so. And what we could do, I'm just thinking about it here, we can go into our bottom orthographic view, just select this bone here and go Shift D to duplicate, move it over, R to rotate it, and just roughly line that up with this toe here. Shift D to duplicate, rotate this one, place it here like so. And what we're going to do is we're going to hold in Shift and just select these three, and while we're still holding in Shift, select the bottom leg and go Control P. And we'll try connected and see if that works. It should work fine. So now all of those are connected like so. And then we're going to grab this nub here at the bottom. We're going to go E to extrude and Y and extrude it back. And then we're going to click on this bone here and go Alt P. And we're going to go clear parent. And now it's its own bone. So what we're going to do, we're going to select this lower bone. And let's just change this to lower leg dot capital L. So get rid of this. So it just needs to be lower leg dot capital L. Hit enter. And then you can select these toes here. So let's select one here and just call it toe 1 dot capital L. You can kind of copy this over here and then grab the next one and paste it in. And then just change this to 2. Grab this one here and paste it in and just change this to toe 3 dot capital L. And then grab this bone over here that we created at the back. We're just going to call this leg IK dot capital L. And with this IK bone selected, because it's going to control our leg, we're just going to simply come here to the deform and just turn it off for that one. Okay, that's really important. And then we want to go into the right orthographic view. I want to grab this middle nub and just move it a bit forward. So there's kind of a little bend here, and that's just going to allow the knee to bend there when we move up the IK bone. So now let's select this upper leg bone here. Holding in Shift, let's select the body bone here and go Control P, and let's go keep offset. And then let's, with this just the body bone selected, hold in Shift and select the root bone and go Control P, and then go keep offset. Then select the bottom bone here, go to your bone little tab here, and let's just call this root. And then let's just turn off the form for it, because it's just simply a bone that everything is attached to that we can grab to move all the bones. And now we're going to grab this, I guess we can do the IKs first. So we're going to actually just go into pose mode. We're going to select this IK bone, and holding in Shift, we're going to select the lower leg bone. So this one first and then this one, and then go Control Shift C. and then make it inverse kinematic. Then click on this bone that turns yellow, go to your bone constraints and change the chain length to 2. So now if we grab this IK bone and we go G to move it, you can see it influences the 2 bones on top of it, like that. Another thing we could do as well is just go back into object mode, or actually edit mode, go back into edit mode. Select these 3 bones over here, and then holding in shift, select the IK and go Control P, and then make it keep offset. So now, if we go back into pose mode, we grab this, not only can we move the leg, we can also rotate it, like so. And we can grab each one of these bones here and individually rotate them. Let's press A to select everything if you've moved it, and just go Alt G and Alt R to reset any rotation and movements in pose mode. Let's go back into edit mode, and we're just going to select all of these leg bones like so. We're going to go to armature and go symmetrize. Okay, let's go into pose mode again, and we should be able to grab this body and go G, and you should see that the legs do this. Pretty cool. Let's go back into edit mode. We could probably also just select these 2 IK bones over here, holding and shift select the root bone and go Control P, and let's go keep offset to parent them to that. Okay, now just to keep things simple, let's just select the upper leg and lower leg bones, just these 2. Shift D to duplicate them, move them over here, and then let's just go R and rotate them like so. And then go S, Z, 0 just to flatten them. And let's go G and just move them up and kind of align them with the arm here, like that. And let's just grab this one over here. Let's go to our bone and let's just call this upper arm dot capital L. Okay, so this is the upper arm dot capital L. This one over here is going to be the lower arm dot capital L, like so. And what we're going to do is with this one over here, I don't think we're actually going to create an IK for these. There's probably no need to do that. But what we will do is just select both of these now, go to armature and go symmetrize. And let's go into pose mode. And let's just grab these, and just the ones that are yellow here that are pointing down, go to the bone constraints and just remove the IK on each one of these, like that, okay? So we could always individually just rotate these bones, which is fine. But another thing we want to do is just select them and go over to the bone properties, go to bendy bones, and then give them each 12 segments, this one as well. So now if we rotate, there we go, you can see it's got a bit of bend to it. So every time I move it, I just go Alt G, Alt R with it selected. Let's grab this side and let's just give that 12 as well. And let's grab this bone, give that 12 segments. And let's do the same with the bones down here. 12, grab this one, 12, this one, 12, and then the lower leg bone here, just give that 12 segments. So now if we grab this IK and we go G, you can see we have a little bit of bend. That just looks a lot more like what we see in the actual animation. And the cool thing about this rig now as well, this bone moves all this, and we can grab this bone down here, and that moves everything. Okay, so now let's go into object mode. Let's select our character body, and let's just also select the eyes, holding in shift. Holding in shift, we're going to select the rig, and we're going to go over to object mode. We're going to go into pose mode with them still active, you can see here. And then we're just going to click on this body bone and go Control P, and we're going to go with a direct bone parent. So now if we go back into object mode, we just deselect everything. We select our rig, and let's just go back into pose mode. We should be able to move, and you see the body goes along. We can also scale, and that all scales. Okay, that's really good. But what we want to do with this body bone selected, just go over to your bone properties, scroll down, and turn off the form for that. Now go back into object mode. Now select your arm and legs, as you can see here. Go to your modifiers and just apply that mirror. And then with them selected, hold and shift and select the rig. Then go Control P, and then this time go with automatic weights. Now if we select the rig and we go into pose mode, let's test this by selecting this IK bone. You can see we can now control the leg. It's all moving along. We can grab this guy. We can do cute little rotations like this. How cool is that? And you can kind of see, so that's how I've posed it now. And it's looking just absolutely adorable. So yeah, that's a very simple little rig for this little Soot Sprite that anybody can make. So yeah, let's pose him. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna grab this IK over here. I'm gonna go G and move it over to the side. I'm gonna grab the body and kind of bend them down. I'll rotate this leg out. And I'll kind of do the same over here with this leg IK. Grab this upper bone and just rotate it. Just kind of going for the classic Sprite, Soot Sprite pose here, like this. Very, very simple little rig to pose this guy with. And I might just rotate the body a little bit. Very cute. And then I'm going to go into object mode, go back into the camera view, and then I'll grab my, turn on my stage again. I'll just grab my camera and just kind of move it back like so. I might go to my camera settings and just make it 120 on the focal length. Zoom the camera back a little bit. Something like that. And if you want to, you can kind of duplicate this floor or the background, kind of put it under the character, like so if you want to. And now if we go Z and go into a rendered view, we can kind of see this cute little soot guy. So I'm going to actually grab the armature here, just hide it so I don't see it. And then I can more easily kind of lift that floor up till it kind of touches the feet of the sprite, little sprite guy here. So I might just have to make a slight adjustment with that rig, just so that foot is sitting on here. But you can mess around with that as much as you want. This is kind of just a simple little rig. So I'm going to make sure to save. And let's also just grab the character here. Let's just go to our modifiers. And you want to make sure that, yeah, that's all looking good over here. I think that should be it. So now let's go render and render the image. And there we have it. That is just the cutest character I think I've ever made. I've really enjoyed this tutorial. So I really hope you've enjoyed this. I'll see you next time, and thank you for watching.